Hey everyone, this is Ian Miller, and welcome back to another episode of Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I'm joined today by Bram Stoker nominated author V. Castro. V, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And you're currently in the UK right now.
Yes, I am in the UK. I've lived here for about 18 years now. While.
Wow.
But yeah, I know, but I'm from Texas originally, so spent the other half of my life there.
Very different from from Texas, I would say, right?
Completely different. And every time I go back to Texas, though, it's kind of like to visit family because most of
Yeah.
my family live there. It's always like, wow, it just, I have so many memories of like high school and just all the food and visiting friends and family. And it's just like, wow, it's just culturally so different. Um, England is so old. Everything here is really old. You drive through villages and these like churches from like the 12th century, 13th century. It's crazy.
Well, you can really feel the history there.
Hmm. You do, which is great for writing. Good inspiration.
Absolutely. So I have to ask, how did you get started in writing?
I was a stay-at-home mom, and I just was like, you know what, I need to do something. I had this need, and I've always loved books. I've always been like a bookworm. I've always loved media, like film, um, and I just I had this really crazy lucid wild dream. And I've always had these dreams that are just like, wow, vivid. I'm almost like, was that a past life memory? This one could not have been because it was about a vampire. But I had this dream and then I was like, oh well, that's really interesting. I should write a story about it. And that was the first book I ever wrote. And that was in 2016, 2017.
Wow. And here you are right now at 2025 as we're talking. Yeah, that's quite a long way because you've been obviously nominated for a Bram Stoker Award twice now, and you've done projects set in obviously two different genres, horror and sci-fi, which is
Yeah.
obviously your love, but particularly two books, well, actually three books set in two you know feature film franchises. So this is very interesting, as well as your original work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful for those opportunities and how my career's kind of progressed. I mean, it's still going, I hope. In publishing, you just never know. But it's one of those things that I just, I have such a love for genre writing and books and world building that that it's something I'm just grateful I can do. And it was just started as a passion project. Now it's what I do as a career, as difficult as publishing is. But yeah, I love it. I'm really lucky.
Yeah, and you certainly have a talent for it. I mean, come on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. When you're
Of
getting
course.
those rejections, you don't always feel that way.
Oh, trust me, I've been on the receiving end of so many rejections, from either publishers, or other writers. So believe me, I more than understand.
It's part of the game. It is really honestly part of the game. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but those rejections, I think, encourage you, don't you think?
Uh, yeah, I've had a few rejections where they just like spurred me on, like, oh, I'm gonna spite write this now. But also like where things were rejected and I was like, okay, like Goddess of Filth. It was a short story that was rejected and I kept on it and it made it into a novella and it's people still really love it and it's really popular still. Um, I think it's sold like 16,000 units. So, that's audio and paperback and I'm just grateful for that. Again, you just never know, like, you never know until you try.
Exactly. Okay, so with your first story, obviously, when it was a success, you kind of set yourself saying, okay, I do want to continue stuff in this genre, but when did you make the jump to another genre, to sci-fi, for example?
Um, it was just like I always wanted to do. Like I always wanted to write Aliens Vasquez. I always wanted to tell her story. And I finally got the opportunity through serendipity. I kept imagining it, thinking about it, wanting it with all my heart, until it finally happened. But again, I've always kind of been a fan, and that Aliens Vasquez started out as like some fan fiction that I wrote until finally um, I met the right people and it happened. Um, and but it just wasn't a big jump for me. It was just something that I loved, and again, world building, things in my mind, things that were like, oh, this would be cool, or what about this, or what about that. Um, I actually have my own science fiction novel, original science fiction novel on submission. I'm just like, is someone gonna buy
Oh,
it? Because it's one thing to write something that people know, it's another to write your own, and people are like, mm.
yeah. That's always the fear right there, because you're like, when you're doing a property that's been well known, it's been around for years. You're like, okay, let's see what this person could do. Wow, she definitely delivered. I mean, I didn't think about doing Vasquez's backstory, especially you know giving up these two kids, to join the Colonial Marines, versus, okay, she's done some great stuff here, So let's take a chance. Let's see what she has to offer with this new sci-fi story. So it's
I
always a
hope
gamble.
so. I know you're just like, ah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to Vasquez for a second, that's a badass character, really. So you definitely need a badass background story. And how did you come up with that?
Well, so unlike other characters in other worlds, unlike Rebel Moon, actually, a lot of times in IP, you have to be really careful because there's other projects or there's already a lot of canon already written. So, and you can't mess with that. But with Vasquez, there wasn't much. So they were kind of like, well, as long as what we know about her, that's canon. You can work around that. And I said, okay, well, I want to make the culture authentic. I want the culture to really reflect um, who we are, and and so, for example, in part of it, I talk about Easter, and we make these things called cascarones, which are hollowed out eggs with confetti, and you crack them on people's heads and chase them down. And so I use the cascarone as foreshadowing of the eggs she would encounter. So she's hunting her friends down with these eggs at Easter and cracking them, and pretending she's a soldier. And I wanted her to come from kind of a military background because as a Latina, and I know a lot of Latinos, there's a lot of rich military background. There's a lot of servicemen and women, um, and in the community, and so I wanted to kind of show that and represent part of my family and make it really authentic, and because that's what we know her for in the films, and I wanted her to be more than just this badass kind of Latina who's tough. Well, why is she tough? Why is she have this body built the way it is? um why does she wear the red bandana? So it was just nice to be able to kind of put that all together. It was really fun. I did it in, like, I don't know, 10 or 11 weeks. I wrote the whole thing. But that's IP. You've got to,
Yeah, yeah, because you gotta, because they have a specific schedule. the company that has the IP, and they're like, okay,
Mhm.
can you finish
Yeah,
it this many weeks or months?
yeah.
Yeah. What was also interesting about it was you also explored a relationship, I think was only hinted at in the movie, between her and Drake. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to, because they're friends, and how did they meet? What was their, um and again, that wasn't canon how they met, or, well, the details of it. So it was said that they met in, locked up. So that's where I said it. But I wanted to also explore, her sexuality and all of the things that we kind of hinted at, like, oh, is she, and
Yeah.
answer those questions, fill in the blanks, pretty much.
Yeah. And what was also interesting was, the two kids, that she doesn't really know about. It was raised by her sister, and yeah, it's a lot of great family drama as well. But let's not forget, it's also an aliens story. So
Exactly, and that's why I had her have 2 kids, because, they're like, "Well, you've gotta have xenomorphs," but she dies when she first meets the xenomorphs. So
yeah,
I was like, "Well, let's," venerating our ancestors, people who've passed, is really important culturally. So her kids grow up with their aunt in Texas, and one of them goes to work for Wayland Utani, the other, um, Leticia, goes and works as a Marine. And so it's then we get the xenomorph action. I couldn't bring her back alive, which I didn't want to anyway. So you're going to get the xenomorphs through her legacy and how she inspired her children, her sister who raised them, um, and that's kind of the direction I went. Some people didn't like that.
I
Some
actually
people,
liked it. Yeah, I actually
sorry,
liked it because no, I'm sorry. I actually liked it because you get to see different sides of things, especially coming from a family. Like you got the brother working for the company that everyone hates. You got the sister, that's working for Marines, want to be much like a mother in that respect, and you're coming at this from two different sides, and it's again great family drama because so you're like, how could you work for these people?
exactly. And it's just like, him wanting to prove himself. And he's like, you know, wanting money and clout and all of these other things. Um, Whereas Leticia wants to just feel close to the mother she never knew. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Give it for a second, folks. Yeah, something must have happened
oh,
with it.
sorry
Yeah,
about that.
something. It's all right. It's
I
all right.
told my
Again,
son to get off of that Xbox.
it's all right. It's all right. It's all
You
right.
can't even
Uh, yeah.
see
Going
family
back to
drama.
exactly. Going back to our discussion for a second. But yeah, because if you think about it, with the characters from, especially with Ripley,
Yeah,
she's kind of a loner, and she's, in this environment where obviously she doesn't have a lot of, trying to think of the right term here. Yeah, I just missed it. Anyway, but yeah,
a lot of connections. She doesn't
this
have
is
any connections, really.
exactly.
Like when it comes to family, like in one of the films, like she sees her daughter, but she's a 60-year-old woman who's passed away. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So I think it fits in the aliens canon. So yeah, it works.
I wanted to show that. I really, really did. And we, because she dies, you don't have kind of that time lag the same way you have with Ripley, like her daughter growing up, and we can be on like set modern, like the here and now. Um, Whereas Ripley's alive, and obviously all of her family and friends on Earth would be different age and time has passed.
Yeah,
Um, so I didn't have those problems, except with her
yeah,
aunt.
exactly. There's also an interesting thing that we can connect it with. It's like with in the video game Alien Isolation, Ripley's daughter is looking for a mother, and it's like 15 years after the first film, and she never knew her mother. So this definitely fits, in the Alien, myth, if you will.
And that is exactly what I wanted to, again, show and do is, work in the alien kind of universe, but also bring that extra something to showcase Vasquez and a deeper characterization.
You did in spades. I'm just gonna say that you did in spades. So don't worry about it.
I would love to do another one. Actually, I really want to do a Predator book. That's my.
Oh, oh, especially with Predator being at the height it is with the property. So, yeah, I could definitely see you doing that.
I would love to do a Predator. I have pitches ready and everything. But again, it's all boils down to licensing. It's
Yeah,
You could want to do something really bad, but if the licensing with the publisher isn't sorted.
again, it's pretty much politics at this point. It's company politics, so I understand. Yeah, and speaking with other properties, you mentioned Rebel Moon for a bit, so let's talk about that for a second. How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, I just was kind of on a short list of names and did an interview and discussed the project, and then they chose me. I was like, yeah, I could not believe it. And then just we went for it. I just went for it. I had the privilege of meeting Zack Snyder and doing all of these. It was great seeing the film. Uh, and Yeah, it there it was. So but again, it was like, okay, let's get this going. It was quite tough to do because I just had the script, and
Hmm.
obviously a script is bare bones. It's just like dialogue and like a little bit of this and that.
Yeah.
Um, and then also that script was kind of constantly changing as they made the film. So I'd write something and they're like, "Oh, that's not in there anymore." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you for letting me know." But it
Yeah.
was like the best thing to work on. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing with getting a script like that, and just doing novelization, you're like, okay, how do I word it? How do I, expand on what is written on the script page into the novel?
Yeah.
So that kind of frees you up to how to do that. And from what I remember, that script had a lot already in there. There was a lot of backstory in there, so that also had to help a lot.
Yeah, and I could it depend well, they gave me kind of like the parameters like, "Well, you can't do this or this or this because we're gonna do XYZ project," and
Yeah.
um, but it was nice where I could expand it and give certain backstories that weren't there, and the fans love it, like the Noble backstory I did and, the sex scenes, they like. Um, I had fun writing everything. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I remember when that came up, immediately. I actually bought the audiobook before I bought the book, and I was like, wow. And this is when the theatrical version came out. When the director's cut came out, I actually had to reread the book, and I was like, you know what? They weren't too far off with here. They kind of matched up where she was going with it. So yeah,
It was great, and seeing it, I was just like, "Ah!" I was just, like, blown away. I was, like, crying.
yeah. I saw it, when you did the signing at Forbidden Planet in London, and I was like, that's a big comic store. That's a big brand. So I was like, she did it. Yes, she got there.
It was fun.
Yeah, I could tell because you're lighting up right now. Talking about it.
I want to do more. I can't wait. I love writing IP. A lot of write. I mean, it isn't easy, um, but I really enjoy writing IP. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I've had another author here. Michael Friedman, who had done a lot of Star Trek and a lot of various projects. He said he loved working on those IP projects because it's like you're playing with another person's toys. You get to imagine certain characters in certain environments and all that. So yeah, I can see why you would love it, and every author would love it that's working on IP property. Yep, I think the camera's froze again, folks. Don't worry about it.
Oh, there we go. I'm gonna just move towards my thing. I don't know why it's being so funny. It's really
Uh,
strange. It hasn't been acting up. Okay, I'm sitting right next to it.
it's quite all right. Don't worry about it. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
no, yeah, you get to kind of, and also I think, unlike writing your own original stuff, that you get a mental break, if that
Yeah,
makes sense, where you're
yeah, it
kind
does.
of like, okay, let me just, whew, let me just, like, I know basically what's happening, the characters, this or that, and I can't mess it up too much because it's already established. Whereas you write original stuff and then you send it to editors and they'd be like, they'll either love it or they're like, were you high when you wrote this? This makes no sense. This is shit. This is garbage. So, that's the thing about IP is it is slightly safe because the editors know what they're getting. Whereas you write something original and the editors might be like, wow. Mm. Or there's always like some sort of, I liked it, but
Yeah, you get the inevitable notes.
yeah.
Speaking of which, why don't we show them your website? Let's show them your other work. Now, as we said, folks, this is below. There's the link, but here is some of these other works.
Thank you
So
so
why don't you walk
much.
us? Of course, why don't you walk us through it?
Yeah, so the Pink Agave Motel is a short story collection. I went on this like erotic horror kick. So um, that is, that's out now. In the center, there is a novella called The Pink Agave Motel, but the others are like short stories, spicy horror. Um, uh, yeah, short stories and a lot of fun vampires, cannibals. There's a merman because Cabin in the Woods is like one of my favorite films, and the merman, just like I love that. And I'm like, tell me more about a merman. We need more mermen in stories. And then there's Immortal Pleasures, which is um, a vampire story. So getting on the sinners train. Basically, she's Malinali, who La Malinche in Mexican history, and she was in real life Cortez's translator. And in real life, she died quite young from smallpox after he sold her off and used her. But she gets her vengeance, doesn't she? She's in, and I just wanted to go crazy with this and build the vampire lore.
That's actually a great idea. Taking existing mythology, existing real life, and adding this into this new context. Very similar, obviously, to Vlad the Impaler, aka Dracula.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's so funny you mentioned Vlad the Impaler because I just turned in edits for another vampire book set at the border called Maria the Wanted. And you do meet Vlad the Impaler's son.
Ooh,
Oh, yes. He's, yes, you do. And he's
oh
not what
my!
you expect.
Well, if it's his son, I mean, come on, I mean, Yeah,
Surprises. Of course, Rebel Moon, which we discussed. God, you're just
yeah.
showing me I need to, like, update I have so many more books to put on there. I need to update it. If
Well, I
any
hope that. Yeah,
I was gonna say, if anyone has, any middle-aged children, young adults, in June, I have a book coming out called Tejano Tales to Tell in the Dark. Um, I love scary stories to tell in the dark. Read that before I started reading Stephen King and Kuntz and Anne Rice. S
yeah, folks. I'm not sure what's up, but don't worry, she'll be right back.
I'm right here. I have full internet. Is it mine or yours? I don't know.
I ain't got a strong connection. I don't know what's going on.
I know mine is all the way to the top as well. Hmm. The
It's very
internet
weird.
gods are acting funny.
Don't worry, we'll plow through. Don't worry.
Belit, I wrote this IP for the Conan world. So that's the Robert E. Howard character Belit that's in the Conan universe. Conan is not in this story. It's all about her um, meeting this like crocodile serpent god.
Oh. Yeah, so you've obviously went to the realm of fantasy here, especially doing again said the character in the Conan universe. So that wow, that's impressive.
So, and then Dia de los Slasher, that's just a short novelette on Day of the Dead,
Ooh,
Halloween, and yeah, it takes place in Texas. There's a festival going on, and two girls go, and well, do they make it out? Or does one of them have a secret we don't know about? Mm-mm-mm.
very mysterious, very mysterious.
Yeah, yes. Las Posadas is a Christmas horror vampire story, little romance, a little spice. So that one's for Christmas or now. Both are on audiobook as well. You can get both of them on audiobook from Tantor. And I
Very
narrate.
nice. Ooh, very nice. Yeah, I meant to tell you, you're a very lovely speaking voice.
Oh, thank you. You know what? It's so funny. Amazon has just like started out this AI narrate them. I don't want AI to do it. Give me some software I can narrate it.
Exactly. Obviously, we
And
talk
the
about
Alien
Vasquez.
Vasquez,
Hmm.
The Haunting of Alejandra. This is generational trauma. Um, this is, demons. This is all about a postnatal depression, a woman kind of, yeah, fighting her demons, but maybe those demons are real and the ghosts of the pasts. And yeah, so anyone, this is for many people, but especially for those who are parents who've struggled with parenthood or had generational trauma. This is definitely one for you.
Wow.
Short story collection. Both of these are short story collections. Urban legend. Mestiza Blood, for example, has The Final Porn Star, which is like an aging porn star doing her final film at a ranch, but there's something lurking outside. There's a story about the border drying up, the Rio Grande drying up. There's La Lechuza, La Llorona. I mean, everything is in here. I mean, I just love writing stories and creating worlds. So these two, if you like short stories that are out there, um, yeah, this is one. They're both for you. But Mestiza Blood is definitely a little more hard hitting and has much more of an edge. than Out of Aztlan, but you'll cut yourself on Mestiza Blood.
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest here. As you're describing it, I'm actually was picturing how to draw, panels, with what you're describing. So I could definitely see this as a mini graphic novel, if I'm being honest.
Oh my God. It's one of those things where I saw Mestiza Blood. I absolutely saw it in my head. And one of the stories in Out of Aztlan called Night of the Box Jelly, I saw in my head like those really crazy 80s films with the creature features like the blob, and just I had this jellyfish.
Yeah,
This couples are on a jetty and they're fooling around, and then one minute the boyfriend's there, the next he's not, and then it's like, ah!
yeah. See what I mean? Yeah. So if I were ever to do another comic, I would definitely would want to pick this one, at least one of the short stories from this particular book
Yeah,
to illustrate.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, the Queen of Cicadas is my Latino version of Candyman.
Oh,
That's exactly right. So you look in the mirror, say chichara, 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 and something happens. But also, it's got the Aztec Queen of the Dead and Vengeance, um, all of it. And then Goddess of Filth is like The Craft meets The Exorcist, coming of age story, set in Texas. And that's like a novella. People love it. Yeah, it's still, like I said, that one has sold like 16,000. Um, I know Rebel Moon sold over 10,000. Uh, I'm not sure how many Aliens Vasquez has sold, but probably quite a bit. I mean, every time I do live events, it's like the first to sell out like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Because when they see something alien or aliens, they're like, "Well, what is this? Let me pick it up."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I never ever, you'd think I would learn, but I never order enough. I never do. I just
How
need
could
to
you
like,
not?
I know, you know what I think I need to do is just like order 100 of them and then
Yeah,
keep stashed away. Um, but it's just like books take so much space that I'm just like, oh.
yeah. Again, that's what we were talking about before the show. In fact, you have a convention coming up soon.
Yeah, so I'll be at London Comic Con. I'll be at Stoker Con in the US in June. And then I'll be at Chimera, which is in Scotland. Um, yeah, I was just at AuthorCon in Virginia, which is great. If you guys can make it, you should absolutely. Um, and that's it for the year. Oh no, Fantasy Con down in Brighton
Ah,
in the
it's another
UK.
good one. Yeah, it's another good one. So, folks, I would definitely go to a lot of those conventions.
Yeah. Oh, this one, Hairspray and Switchblades, is out of print. So I'm working on that to bring it back out. So I'm going to self-publish that one.
Okay, and of course, sequel to Rebel Moon.
Yep. Yep. There you
Yeah,
go.
I definitely put more of your books on here now that you've said you've obviously done more. So let's definitely put more books on there.
You know what's so crazy though? It's like website. It's the last thing I think of updating or doing.
I know, I know. I'm the same way. I'm the
it's,
same way.
it's the one thing that you're like, it is important because it's your landing page, but then you're just like, it's so easy to forget to do.
Exactly. But yeah, if you want to check out V's work, just go to the link below, scrolling now, or you find it on Amazon, other places. So
Yep.
yeah,
Barnes and Noble, Amazon. Just click V Castro and then go crazy. I have a bunch of short stories that are, up.
yeah. trust me, you'll be guaranteed a very good time.
Thank you. I
Of
just
course.
like to I love doing it. It's fun. It's just it does light me up, but again, we were talking earlier, publishing as a business is so tough.
Oh,
It's a tough industry.
yeah, it's a tough industry to break into, and it's a tough one to stay in. Because you have to say, okay, you have to figure out what really sells. What you can really tell, what type of story you really can tell that's gonna have an audience relate to the story. So yeah,
No, absolutely. And you know, with I think publishing, you have to definitely say I'm in it or I'm not. It is a long game.
yeah. That's another thing I also tell my audience. If anyone's trying to bring into writing, either in comics or just novels, you got to get off your butt and do it. It's now or never. You can't wait on it.
No. No, and you just have to kind of like you can't hold back. You just got to
Yeah, and if you don't succeed right away, you could at least say you tried.
Yeah, I mean, I for my first book, I could not get an agent. I couldn't get a publisher. So I self-published it, but now Titan they're publishing it. I took it off and they're publishing it now, which is I'm so grateful for that. It's completely different from the original version. Not completely, but a lot different. Um, and there'll be a sequel to it, which will be more of a standalone. Um, that comes out next year, but it's one of those books that really hit my heart and I couldn't let go of. But it was a process. It was a process. I wrote that in 2017, 2016, and I sold it last year, the year before,
Mhm.
2023.
Yeah,
So, um, and that was after self-publishing and going through that whole journey. So you never know where you're going to go. However, um, yeah, like you said, breaking in, it's tough and it can really wear you down. But like I said, Goddess of Filth, which you saw and was nominated for a Bram Stoker Award, was a rejected short story. I was devastated. And then I made it into a novella, and it's still going strong, years later. Um, I'll get the rights back in a couple years, in like, I think 2 years.
hmm
Um, I've sold the Spanish rights, which will come out next year in Spain. Um, but I'll try to get another publisher for it. But if I can't, I'll just self-publish it.
yeah.
Um, so same with Hairspray and Switchblades. I have the rights back, but there are things I want to add to it. I want to change, and it'll come out with a new cover, a new title, and I'll self-publish that.
Well, I really can't wait for that. I commend you for being brave enough to say, okay, let's change a couple of things, make it better. So yeah,
Oh yeah, but also from a business point of view, if people have already read it, they won't buy it again. So I
yeah,
want to be able to release and say, well, guess what? You're going to get something else version.
yep. I think the camera froze again, folks. I'm very sorry for that. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, no,
Are we
it's
good?
definitely exciting. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, books are exciting. Stories are exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the fact that you have more in this particular story, it's kind of like with Stephen King's The Stand. He released the original version. Then he's like, I'm going to put what was originally in there back into the story, you know, make it better.
Yeah, and you know, The End of the World as We Know It, which is this anthology about the stand. I'm in that. So I have a story set in the stand anthology. It's August 19th. And yeah, it's basically Stephen King. He's writing the intro, he gave his blessing, and there's loads of great writers in there. So, and all the stories are set in the stand universe. So August 19th, guys, you can pre-order that now.
Oh my God, I got so many books I have to buy from you.
But honestly, it's got like on it, it's um, Maurice Broaddus, Jonathan Jans, Haley Piper, um, who else? Ronald Moffey, James Rath. It's got Tim Levin. It's edited by Brian Keene and Christopher Golden. Um, yeah, it's an amazing, amazing. Um, yeah, Katrina Ward. I mean, there's loads of people in there. It's
Wow.
amazing.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah, like I said, I had to buy some stuff. So
It's going to be like this thick. It's like a big old anthology.
now,
Because
does it rival the stand's thickness? Because this is pretty thick.
there's six,
Okay.
well, each story is like about 6,000 words.
Holy crap.
It's going to be a big book.
This is how stunned my face is, folks. This is how stunned I am. So yeah.
August 19th, The Stand
Okay.
Anthology.
Okay. And I'm saving it on my date. I'm getting my phone out right now and just putting it on my calendar.
Yeah, if
Just
you go online, you can find the cover, which is already out. And on that date, there's going to be signings all across the U.S. and one here in the U.K., which I'm doing with Tim Levin. Um, oh, Nat Cassidy is in there. Uh, yeah, lots of people.
okay. Well, I'm sold.
Oh. It will not disappoint. So all you guys out there, check it out.
Yeah. V, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show to talk to us about your work and your upcoming projects and your upcoming conventions. Best of luck to you in all,
Thank
your
you.
avenues. And like I said, folks, please check out, her website. Obviously, she'll update it, when she gets a chance, but check out the books she's already got there already because trust me, if you like, her writing, you'll love the stories. So buy them today if you can.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing day.
Yeah. Before we go, folks, I just want to, obviously plug in my own stuff as, I normally do. So what we have here is my own comic book series, Conan Hunter. It's a sci-fi spy thriller. So if you're a fan of James Bond, Star Trek, Star Wars, and even Guardians of the Galaxy, this is the comic for you. We've got issues 1 through 3 up there right now. As you can see, currently working on issue 4 right now with my friend Enrique Lopez doing the inks. So get excited about that. It's going to come out later this summer, so keep an eye for that. And for last but certainly not least, is my storefront on tpublic.com. So type in Lillian merch at tpublic.com and you can find all these lovely designs and my character Lillian and of course Conan Hunter. And for those of you who are looking for Mother's Day, gifts, you have this design in t-shirts, coffee mugs, ball caps, wall art, pillows, hoodies, and so much more. So just type in tpublic.com, Lillian merch, and you can find my storefront there. Like I said, V, thank you again for coming on. And folks, thank you for watching. I'm Ian Miller, and this has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. Have a great day.
Bye.